Find a tribe. Find a tribe. Why you so stressed? It's not that serious. And free your mind. It's gonna be alright. Find a tribe. Find a tribe. Find a tribe. Find a tribe. Find a tribe.
You're listening to Glory 93.9 FM. It's officially Girl Talk time. 4:46 in the afternoon. It's your girl Marisha here in your company. We do apologize for the little delay. We had some technical difficulties, but we got them sorted out. And I'm so excited for today's show. Listen, we're gonna dive right in because we've lost already 17 minutes. So I want to dive right in. I want to introduce you to the guest that I have in studio with me today. Her name is Dr. Tamalia Gibson, and I had the opportunity to encounter just a portion of her story last year in the middle of the pandemic. And her story was just such an encouragement to me. It was just such a blessing to me. And it also opened my eyes to something that we're going to dive into today. And that is this concept of us as women dealing with infertility or barrenness. So that's what our conversation is about today. I don't even want to delay it or anything like that. I really, really want to dive right in. But before we go right in there and before she comes on the microphone, I do need to make sure that you like and share this show. It's important. Apparently, I don't say that enough, Tamalia. Apparently, I don't say that enough. I don't promote myself enough. So please like and share the show. Oh my goodness. How could I forget this? I can't forget this. Gosh. Okay. So we're going to do a little giveaway today because we are officially now sponsored by Lowe's. So cool. So we're going to do a little giveaway today. So I'm going to put up the number here. The text line is 825-2543. Again, that number is 825-2543. I'm going to leave it flashing on the bottom of the screen. If you would like to win this Design Essentials Natural Hair Protective Styles Moroccan Oil 4-step system, it includes a shampoo, a conditioner, a finishing thermal serum, and shine spray. It's a 4-step system provided by Lowe's by Design Essentials. All we need you to do is subscribe to the Girl Talk podcast and send us a screenshot that you have subscribed to the Girl Talk podcast, and you can win this 4-step system here provided by Lowe's from the Design Essentials brand. So again, the number to text is 828-2543. Again, 828-2543. Send us a screenshot that you have subscribed to the Girl Talk podcast and you'll win. The first one to do it, you will win. And we might decide to give away more than one because we have some extras. So if you happen to be like the second person, we might decide to give you a system too. It just all depends. So thank you so much for supporting the Girl Talk brand, for choosing this show. Let's dive right in. First of all, hey, Tamalia, now that I have all of that stuff out of the way.
That's good stuff.
I know, right? How are you?
I'm doing great. I cannot complain. I'm grateful to be alive, Marisha.
Oh my goodness. We definitely have to hear this story because I know it's a lot to share. I know it's a lot to talk about. Well, listen, it's good to see you in person. Because the last time we were talking, we were on
virtually.
Zoom.
Exactly. So it's good to finally see you again.
I know, right? So it's just such an awesome, I think, thing and something to celebrate that we are definitely still in the land of the living. So many people have lost their lives.
Yes.
So many people didn't make it to see March of 2021. So we definitely don't take life for granted. Let's dive right into Malia. Why is this concept of being barren, being infertile so close and so near and dear to your heart?
Well, it's so near and dear to my heart because I've lived it.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that, Marisha, when I was going through my process,
Yes.
I found that people don't really talk about infertility. People, it's like this big taboo, and people go through it silently. They struggle alone.
Yes,
And
yes.
people go through infertility, people go through miscarriages, and they feel like I'm the only one that this is happening to. But I'm here today to let you know, if this is your story, you are not the only one. There actually 25% of all pregnancies end in miscarriage.
25%.
And they believe it could be higher because some people have a miscarriage and don't even know. And I don't even know the numbers on how many people, but I can speak to, I know a lot of people that are married and they desire to have children, and it hasn't happened for them as yet.
My goodness. Wow.
Yeah. And for me, Marisha, I got married a few years ago, celebrating 4 years in June.
Congratulations.
Thank you. My wonderful husband, he's listening right now, Pastor Marvin Gibson. But what happened was I got pregnant very shortly after I got married.
Okay.
So it was surprising, but it was also really exciting.
Yes.
So I can remember we shared the news with my parents, and my dad, he took out the apple cider and he started popping the apple cider.
Right.
He did this video to welcome the new baby into the family.
my
And it was just really
goodness,
sweet. So we
goodness.
celebrated. We were really excited about becoming parents to this new baby.
Right.
Well, Marisha, one night I was sleeping and I just got up in the middle of the night for my routine. Let me just go to the restroom.
Yeah.
But when I went, I realized that I was bleeding.
Oh my goodness.
And when you're pregnant, that's the last thing you want to see is blood.
Most definitely.
But, you know, I'm a woman of faith. So I said, okay, I know that this is something a little scary right now, but I believe that our baby is okay.
Yes.
I woke my husband up. I told him, and then we decided to go into the doctor the next day.
Okay.
So we went into the doctor the next day. The doctor did an ultrasound, and he said, I think you had a miscarriage. And he said, but it's okay. You're young. Just try again. So my face, I'm sure, dropped for a lot of reasons. One, I was very surprised that I had what he said was a miscarriage.
Right.
But then I was also surprised with like how, you know,
his tenor, like,
he was about it. Like, oh,
yeah.
just try again.
Yeah.
You know, and I looked at my husband and we both just locked eyes, and I could see the pain in his eyes. He could see the pain in mine.
Oh my goodness.
And we went home, and then we had another appointment. And then I think he had actually called and told us, you know what, maybe you didn't have a miscarriage. Maybe it was just too early to see the heartbeat, to hear the heartbeat. So let's do some tests. So we did some tests, Marisha, like HCG levels to see,
oh my
you know, if the number would go up.
Right.
The number didn't go up. So that was when I finally realized and had to accept that I had a miscarriage. Yeah.
What was that process like? Like just not knowing?
Not knowing, it was gut-wrenching because I think it was a period of 3 days that I had to wait to retest again the HCG levels.
Right.
And it was like I was holding on to faith.
Right.
And holding on to everything.
And you're believing God.
Yes, I'm believing
because you're a woman of God. So you believe God.
Absolutely. And my husband stood with me and we believed, and we're speaking over this baby, that this baby will live. The baby is okay. And then when we got the news, it was very disappointing.
Oh my gosh.
And I can remember, so I'm a clinical psychologist by profession. So I knew what to expect emotionally in terms of allowing myself to have all the different range of emotions. So I can remember telling my husband, like, listen, you know, I'm going to be crying my eyes out. That's okay. Just let me do my grieving. Right. Because the truth of the matter is we dealt with it completely differently. You know, I was crying. I was talking about it a lot with my like you said, my tribe.
Yes. Your
girlfriends. I'm so glad I'm for my girlfriends. I want to give a shout out to Kendria, to Shanique, to Kairimu. Oh my goodness. I don't get in trouble and call names, but which I already did. But it was just really good to really have people who had my back and who could just listen to me.
Yes.
But Marisha, I had a miscarriage, I think it was August. And the next month, I realized I got pregnant again. You should see your face, Marisha.
Oh my gosh.
So really, when I took the pregnancy test this time, I cried, but it wasn't tears of happiness. Like, I was petrified. I was like, oh my God, like, I can't deal with this.
Right. Like,
again.
how can you process this?
This is just, I got anxious. I got a little concerned, and then something kicked in. My faith kicked in again.
Right.
And I said, you know what? I'm not going to allow what happened to me in the past to make me feel like it will happen again.
Exactly.
So I built my faith up. I was watching a lot of faith stuff on YouTube, a lot of faith sermons, reading a lot about faith. And I'm like, okay, we're going to call this baby Faith.
Oh,
that was a little nickname. And
Aww.
we went in for a scan and got the news that the baby was not growing.
Tamalia, stop it. I can't handle this.
Yes.
This is too much.
So, and meanwhile, Marisha, I was getting words of prophecies from people who didn't know that I was pregnant, because I was very, limited with who I told. Right. And I'm like, wow, so this baby really gonna live. Hallelujah. Praise Jesus. And then I had a miscarriage. Again. Second time.
And this is how, like, what's the time frame between your first miscarriage and the second miscarriage?
Just a few months. So this is all in my first year of marriage. I did mention that. So this is all in my first year of marriage.
Oh, imagine my gosh.
Being a newlywed and then experiencing these two losses back to back. And so I just had to kind of process that. And after that one, I had to do something called a D&C.
Right.
Which is where they basically vacuum your womb.
Yes.
And I can remember, Marisha, I was there they had me in the prep room. And there was just this overwhelming peace. The peace of God was just all over me. And I can remember I was in the same room with another lady who was going to have a C-section. So we were both in the same room,
but dealing with two different situations.
Absolutely. She to deliver a live baby and me.
Oh my gosh, Jesus.
And so in the natural, that could cause anyone to have just kind of a mental breakdown.
Yes.
And just like, God, I'm serving you. Why would you let this happen to me?
Exactly.
But I felt so peaceful.
Wow.
I felt so calm. I was just like, God, you're with me.
Wow.
You're with me. I know you're with me. And so, Marisha, I processed that. I dealt with the pain. See, because people think that just because you have peace, it doesn't mean that erases
the pain.
Your pain.
Exactly.
It's a natural thing to have the pain of loss. So I dealt with the pain of loss, and I got pregnant a third time. Marisha. Like, seriously.
Oh my gosh.
What in the world? But I just was like, okay, this baby we're gonna nickname this baby Miracle. This is our miracle baby.
Right.
Third baby.
Yes.
This baby will definitely live and declare the word of the Lord.
And this is still within the first year of your marriage.
Yes. This is the first year of my marriage. Meanwhile, Marisha, I was dealing with questions like, well, when you and Marvin gonna have children? What y'all waiting on?
Can we just lay a disclaimer? Let's deal with that. Let's attack that right here and now. It is not your business.
Right.
I don't care who you are. Grammy, granddaddy, granduncle, auntie, sister, church member, friend, cousin, brother, sister, godparent. I don't care who you are. Whether or not a couple is ready to have a child is not your business.
It isn't.
And we don't know what the situations or circumstances that couple is facing or dealing with at the moment. Be careful with how we choose our words. We need to be careful. What they're doing is between them.
Exactly.
What's happening between that man and that woman, that husband and that wife, is between them. It has nothing to do with you. It has absolutely nothing to do with you. So let's just lay that disclaimer out there, y'all. Just help your girlfriends out by encouraging the other women in your life to let them know some things are just inappropriate to talk about.
Exactly.
Especially in public.
Yes.
You want to have a private conversation with me because you're concerned about me genuinely, then pull me aside. Let's have that private conversation. But don't don't be like, so, the room full of like 20 people. So what happened? Why you and Marvin ain't had no child yet? None of your business.
And the interesting thing is most people would come to me and not him and make those remarks.
Because only the woman does have children, apparently.
Right. It don't take two.
We just be having children by ourselves.
One.
Boy, Tamalia, if we could have children by ourselves, I would have had one by now.
I know, right? If it was only that simple,
if it was
not
just
that
me,
simple.
if it was only me required, I mean, I'm 33 years old. I would have had one.
Right.
I would have had one by now because after 35, doctors let you know pregnancy is a risk for you as a woman. So, at 33, I would have been plopping out one like last year. You understand what I'm saying?
So people need to hear this. I like to tell people, please don't do it. Certain things you just don't ask people because it was very triggering. And a lot of times people asked me that I was actually miscarrying right then and they didn't know. So my body was literally going through the process of expelling and everything, and they didn't even know that.
And people were asking you those questions while you were in the process of loss.
Yes, absolutely. And I can remember one Mother's Day, Marisha, I just did not want to go to church.
Gosh.
I'm a minister in the church and I didn't want to go. I'm like, listen, I ain't going to church today. I'm not going to church today. I just can't deal with another day, especially today. Oh, well, next year for you, when you have children, so when I'll be able to tell you Happy Mother's Day. I didn't want to have to hear those comments from the saints. So I was like, I'm not going. Long story short, I did still end up going.
Right.
I pushed myself out of my comfort zone. It ended up being a beautiful experience. But it can be so triggering for someone who's dealing with infertility, things like that, Mother's Day.
Right.
And then it also reminded me of my losses.
Exactly.
So that was like a reminder of like, I am a mother. I just don't have a baby that's alive.
Right.
But people don't see it that way.
Right. So people won't be able to even understand that for you to make that kind of statement.
Exactly. So Marisha got pregnant a third time.
Number 3.
And I had a third miscarriage. Now,
Tamalia.
Yes. This is my first year of marriage. Actually, on our anniversary day, our first year anniversary, I was right then bedridden because I was going through a miscarriage. And then I had a number of complications and stuff that I ended up having to be in bed for a few months because I had what they call degeneration. So I found out that I had fibroids and I never knew that all my life. And my doctor said, this is the reason why you're having miscarriages. And you will not be able to have children. You will not be able to give birth to a child.
Okay, wait. Push pause.
Yes.
Push pause. Because you're telling the story fast. Okay, so this is after your third miscarriage now.
Mm-hmm.
You see an obstetrician gynecologist.
Mm-hmm.
And they tell you flat out, you will not be able to have children because of these fibroids.
In actuality, now that I remember, I think it was actually after the second miscarriage that he started to believe so. But after the third one, he was like, yeah, definitely, it's the fibroid. It's because of the fibroid. It's so large that you will never be able to.
So this fibroid that they made you aware of, was it something that they found like after your second or third miscarriage?
They found it after the first one, but he didn't relate it to it. He just is like, miscarriages happen. It's just a matter of numbers.
And fibroids are no big deal.
Right. He didn't mention, like, he mentioned that I had fibroids, but he didn't think that it was related. He was like, a lot of women have fibroids and they do have children. So
right.
It's not that. Fibroids are very common, especially amongst Black women.
Exactly. Okay.
So it was not until the second or third time, definitely the third, he was like, yeah, you have to have a surgery. That would be the only way that you can have a child. And so I sat with that. My husband and I sat with that. We spoke about it.
Wow.
And we prayed about it. And ultimately, we didn't have peace about doing a surgery. Although I know that I really, really, really wanted to have a child, I'm like, that's a risk. And it's okay if you feel comfortable and if you feel led to do it, then by all means do it.
Right.
but I just didn't have
for
a
you,
peace about it.
It wasn't the option for you.
Not at that time. I didn't have a peace about it.
Okay.
So, and my husband didn't either. So we're like, okay, this means we have to really trust God for a miracle.
Right.
That's what this means. We have to trust God for a miracle. In the meantime, I was writing a book called The Power of Peace. And I really outlined my story of dealing with the miscarriages, but also talking about different things related to how you can have peace even when life gives you like the hardest things to deal with. And I found that was so therapeutic for me. And that helped me a lot. And you know, sometimes you could ask your question yourself, like, why would this happen to me? Like, I can remember thinking that I never thought that this would be my story. Like when I got married, that beautiful day, June 3rd, it never crossed my mind that I would have problems.
You thought it would just be an amazing day.
Yeah.
And then life would just be great after that. And like you'd have some kids and not infertility, not miscarriages.
No, I really didn't think so. And so basically just kept trusting God and believing and trying hard not to get pregnant.
Right.
Extra hard not to get pregnant. And
okay, sorry, you said I could interrupt you, so I want to interrupt you there. You said that you got to this place, obviously, where you tried not to get pregnant.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that place, because that's loaded right there, what you just said. You were making an intentional effort to not get pregnant.
Because I realized that my body had been through so much, you know, going through 3 pregnancies back to back. I mean, that's a lot of trauma. Doing a surgery, that's a lot. And so I wanted to also, sometimes you get healed instantly.
Right.
And it's a miraculous thing. God intervenes right away.
Yes.
But sometimes you have to walk your healing out. And it may be over a period of time.
Okay.
And I felt like mine would be over a period of time. To just kind of wait it out, trust God. In the meantime, still get all those questions from people why you don't have no children yet and stuff.
Yeah.
But just be coming to a place like, okay, God. And my husband was just so amazing. He is amazing. But like he just never wavered. He said, baby, I know we're gonna have children. Like
wow.
All along, like he just knew. He was just very confident. Even when I was like second guessing, like I wonder, you know, I don't know. But he just knew that we would have kids.
That's incredible to me.
Yes.
That is absolutely incredible.
And beyond that, he said, I married you for you.
Oh.
So I love you whether or not we have children. Like my love for you won't change. Because I got to a place where I asked him, I said, do you regret marrying me?
Let me ask you a question. Did the loss of these 3 children make you feel like you were less than a woman?
You know what? I know a lot of women deal with that. I didn't personally have that feeling of being less than a woman. I just felt like, gee, my body just ain't trying to cooperate with me. It was more about like my body feeling like my body's not cooperating rather than I feel like I'm not a woman, because I never defined womanhood by fertility. Like even when I was single, like I just never looked at it that way.
Okay. I asked that question because I know that for many of us as women, that is the headspace that we end up in.
Yeah.
Because we feel like this is what I'm supposed to do as a woman. No one else can do this. No other species, like the female species, like men can't reproduce. Women are supposed to be able to give birth, right? And I noticed with some dear girlfriends of mine, just the silence of the question, what's wrong with me as a woman, because I can't conceive. And it's heartbreaking when we consider, you know, the truth of what's really going on in the hearts and minds of women, especially in particular, because this is a Christian radio station. We're talking about our married friends, right? So there is almost like an embarrassment. It's like a silent embarrassment. There's shame involved in it. There are so many questions going through the minds of women when they find themselves in situations and circumstances where they are infertile or having difficulty conceiving. And then there's the group of women who are my age and older who are wondering, okay, so after I've waited until like I'm in my late 30s and I finally get this husband, what is conceiving going to be like for me? And that's often a question that I think we ignore. That's like at the back of our minds. Like, okay, so we watch some of our other girlfriends go through it and we're like, God, this can't be me. Like, I don't want to go through this, but we don't ever vocalize that. That's something that kind of sits on the inside of us and we just kind of hold it in. We don't talk about it. We don't vocalize it. We don't say anything. For those of us who are believers, some of us, we're intentionally not vocalizing it because we don't even want to open the door to the enemy. Right. So we just keep it in. But then there are others of us that like are sitting in this internal struggle where we're just like, I want to have a child. I can't. I'm married. I should be able to reproduce. I should be able to be fruitful and multiply. And I can't. I can't. And my heart is so connected to this. Like I was sharing with you off air, because I've had so many near and dear to me that are currently facing the struggle and or have faced it in the past. And I think that the number one thing that's most important, just listening to your story and hearing how you would have dealt with it, is that we won't be able to make it. You won't be able to get through. You won't be able to process or even become a victor when it comes to what your body is experiencing, what you're going through, this entire process, your mindset, your emotions, if you don't have God.
Absolutely.
If you don't have God.
Absolutely.
Talk about your reliance on your faith in God during this journey.
Listen, God is the only reason that I made it through this process. Wow. I can remember basically every time I had a miscarriage, there was one song that it was my go-to. And it's a song by Torrin Wells called Hills and Valleys.
Oh, that's a beautiful song.
Oh my goodness. He's the God of the hills and the valleys. Father, you give and you take away.
Yes.
But it's that place of worship that really helped me to hold it together. It's like, God, I trust you. I love you. I know that everything is going to be okay, that you're sovereign, that you still love me the same, and that your plans for me are great. And you're an awesome God. You're amazing. And just telling him about who he is. And that helped me to shift from focusing on woe is me and look at my situation to thinking about how great my God is. And that because he knew me before I was in my mother's womb.
Yes.
He knew that this would happen. It didn't catch him by surprise.
Exactly.
It might have caught me by surprise.
Exactly, but it didn't catch him by surprise.
So that means that he has a plan in all of this.
And he knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. And Jeremiah 29:11, I want to encourage someone right now that God has beautiful thoughts for you. You may feel like, well, why am I going through so much? Why is it so hurtful? Why is it so painful? But God knows. And this light affliction will only last but for a moment. So you go through things. As a Christian, we are going to go through things.
Yes.
Because I'm a Christian, because I waited to have sex until I was married, that did not exempt me from going through
Wait a minute, Tamalia. We got to touch that. We have to touch that, because didn't you feel like God owed you not to have miscarriages because you waited?
You know what? There was one point in my life where dealing with this, I said, well, God, are you angry with me? As I cried, I was like, did I do something
I'd be like, nah, hold on, Jesus. Everybody else out there, being all free and,
and
free.
The children having kids.
Exactly.
No problem.
But I kept myself. I've only had sex with my husband and 3 miscarriages, Jesus. And
Marisha, I had to move from a place of why me to why not me.
Oh my gosh.
Because the truth of the matter is, the word says, to whom much is given, much is required. And God has blessed me with an amazing support system, wonderful parents.
Yes.
I had a great childhood. So there were certain things that I needed to go through for myself. I needed to prove the God of my parents to be my God too. I needed to prove that I can go through fire and that God could trust me with it and I'll still worship him. It doesn't matter. Like, so it's not a conditional love. Do you have a conditional love for God? Like, you only love him when he does what you want him to do, when you want him to do it, because his ways are not our ways.
So this was truly the testing of your faith for you. This was like the birthing of what I guess what we could describe as like your real relationship with God.
Absolutely. I mean, I've had tests of faith throughout my life, but this one I feel was more public in a way, because people saw me married and they saw I wasn't having a child, so they can make assumptions of their
right.
And I knew what I really, really, really wanted to have a child.
Exactly.
And so trusting God, sometimes it can be challenging because what you see in the natural doesn't line up, like the doctor's report. It didn't line up with what I believe in my heart. It didn't line up with what the word of God said, that he will grant me the desires of my heart.
Exactly.
And so you have to know how to hear the negative report and filter it out as if you never heard it.
That's good. That's so good.
You really have to know how to, whose report will you believe? That means that we will get other reports.
Yes. Yes.
But I will believe the report of the Lord. And that's whether it's you're dealing with a health situation. I've been there, done that. You know about it, Marisha. I know. A whole lot of show. But, you know, you have to trust the God that you sing about. You sing that he's the way maker, the miracle worker, the promise keeper. And so when we got to that point in the song, I said, God, you promised me this. I have gotten prophecies about my children years and years ago. I had gotten words, like I'm like randomly, people would just start telling me about.
That's so powerful what you said, Tamalia, because I think that a lot of us, I'm reading this book. It's called, I think it's called Angel Armies. I really should know what the book is called that I'm reading, but it's by Tim Sheets. And he talks in this book about how prophetic words don't just come to pass. He talked about that, and I'm not wanting to get too off topic here, but what you said was so important. You had gotten so many prophetic words concerning your children, but there was still a labor and prayer that you had to be intentional concerning in order to see that prophetic word come to pass. We often think that, oh, somebody released a prophetic word concerning me and it's just gonna happen.
No, there's an attack on it. You know, and I experienced that even in terms of getting married. You know, getting these prophetic words about what my husband would be like, well, Jesus, where you at?
Oh,
you know,
my goodness,
the attack was there because the word was spoken. I believed the word, and then trials came to try to make me think otherwise. That, well, God, you said this, but was that a real prophecy? Like, you know, no, can I really trust this word? But, you know, we have to believe God. We have to walk by faith and not by sight. We can't look in the natural. Sometimes the natural will discourage us if we really focus too much on it. And I'm dealing with things right now in my life where I have to not look at what I see in the natural, but I have to go back to what I know in the spiritual. So I know that God promised me certain things and that it has to come to pass. It doesn't matter how long it seems. It doesn't matter what happens contrary to this word. It will happen. You have to encourage yourself in the Lord. The Bible says that David encouraged himself in the Lord. And so whether you're dealing with infertility, whether you're dealing with financial issues or relationship issues, problems in your marriage, whether your heart is aching from a breakup, whatever your problem is, you have to trust that God knows that you would be at this moment and that he said that he will never leave you and he will never forsake you.
And that it didn't take him by surprise.
It didn't take him by surprise. Absolutely. Absolutely. But Marisha, I want to tell you. So I told you I wrote this book. And I was getting ready to release the book. Doing all my promotional stuff and everything. In the midst planning all this promotional stuff, I'm like, okay, I decided to do a pregnancy test because I was like, you know, it seems like something off. You know, I did the pregnancy test and it was positive. So this is my 4th pregnancy. right in the midst of trying to plan everything for this book release and getting everything sorted out. I literally had to kind of push it to the back of my head and just keep on functioning and just like, I need to get stuff done. This is great. This is exciting. But I just need to work on getting this done. So people saw me moving around at my book release party. Didn't even know I was pregnant. Yes, I was pregnant for my book release and just trusting God. Didn't even tell like close family members. My best friend didn't know. Like people didn't know. Okay. So
for obvious reasons. I mean, I could understand why.
For
you
obvious
would not have
reasons.
mentioned.
We waited until, we went to the first doctor appointment. And we went to that first doctor's appointment. My husband and I were looking at each other and, just being prayerful. There was a little anxiety that tried to creep up. Like,
of course.
This just felt too familiar.
Exactly.
We've
been here before. Yeah.
Being hopeful.
Yes.
Going in. They're like, no heartbeat.
Ugh.
And so we went in to the doctor. They pulled out the little machine thing to do the ultrasound. And we heard a heartbeat.
My goodness.
And there was so much joy in that room. I think my husband burst out laughing, like just so excited.
I can imagine.
And we were just elated about this baby. And we celebrated. The baby continued to grow. Everything was going normally. And then the baby, he became breached. He was breached. He didn't turn. So they were like, okay, we have to schedule it for a C-section. And I can remember my doctor telling me, now listen, because this is during the pandemic last year.
Exactly.
She was like, listen, don't have this baby this weekend because it's locked down. This is during first when everything, we were really locked down.
Exactly.
But my baby had a different plan. God had a different plan. So my water bag broke and I had to go to the hospital.
Right.
And we gave birth to a beautiful baby boy.
Oh my gosh.
And his name was Nathan Marvin Gibson. And I can remember one day while I was pregnant, I was laying on the couch and just kind of chilling. And I was like, oh, what are we going to name this baby? Like, I don't know what to name him. And the name Nathan just came in my spirit. I said, okay, well, let me look up. I'm all about meanings. So let me look up what Nathan means. And it means gift from God.
Oh, beautiful.
And so I'm like, this is perfect. It's appropriate. And sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, you have to wait for the gift. The gift comes at a price. Right now, he brings so much joy to our lives. He brings so much laughter in the midst of the pain of the pandemic and other life things.
Yes.
There was this beautiful baby boy that just is his own big personality. We call him Papa Boy. That's what my dad named him. He has his own Facebook and Instagram page.
Oh my goodness.
Papa Boy 242. That's a little plug for him. But God is so faithful that you may have to go through a season of crying. You may have to shed some tears, but just know that God hasn't forgotten you. That at the appointed time, God knew the exact date that I would give birth to Nathan all along. I didn't know, but I had to just trust his plan.
Tell me something, Tamalia. What did you do in the meantime, between time? Right?
While I was pregnant?
While you were waiting, before you got pregnant again.
Okay.
Before you got pregnant again, what was the posture? What was your posture as a woman? What was your posture alongside your husband as a wife? Because I heard you say that, you did everything to make sure you didn't get pregnant again. That's the place that you were in. But what were your prayers like? How were you approaching God concerning the situation? Because I'm sure it wasn't just like, okay, or maybe it was. Maybe it just was like, okay, I'm pregnant again and everything is good. I don't know. Talk to me about that journey.
I think it's important whilst you're in a waiting season to not just sit there and wait and just think about what it is you want, but to go ahead and try to fulfill other dreams. So like for me, my second book, The Power of Peace, was a dream that I had. And so I wanted to be able to share my story and encourage other people, whether they dealt with infertility or not, whether they're dealing with health issues, financial issues, whatever storm. I wanted to be able to encourage people that you can have peace no matter what. And so that was a big thing. And then also developing and working hard on my husband and I tour company. So we worked on that, just trying to do different hobbies, trying to fulfill different goals, building my relationship with God, building my relationships with my husband and friends. And so there's a lot that you can do when you are waiting. There's a lot of productivity that can happen when you are waiting. And I'm so glad it happened.
Sit there. No, I didn't just sit there and be like, okay, God, so you done released this prophetic word and you said I'm supposed to have these children. So, could you speed this thing up? You weren't just sitting there, you were busy.
And I'm not going to say that even in my busyness, I didn't get sad sometimes. I would get sad about it. Like, like when I think about my babies that I had lost, it might have hit me even just suddenly. And I just feel like this sense of grief. And so I want to dispel the myths that because you're a Christian that you don't have emotions, because we're humans.
Exactly.
You're going to have emotional reactions, but you don't allow your emotions to determine what your faith says.
That's good.
That's the key.
That's good.
You're not emotionally driven.
So what were you praying during that time?
I prayed a lot of things, but I would still pray for my children. I would still pray for, God, just help me to be the mother that you want me to be. Now, that's clearly a faith prayer.
So I was just going to say, so you weren't like, God, you weren't praying from a place of fear or unbelief or doubt. You were praying from a place of, okay, so this is what the word is.
Yeah.
I believe the word. And so God help me to be a good mother, not God help me to get pregnant.
No. Well, I want to get pregnant too, but in the right time. At that point, right then, I was just like, let's just, we'll wait it out and and my husband and I, of course, had to agree and
of course
kind of have those conversations, those difficult conversations.
Yes.
But definitely necessary. And that's why I'll just say this here. It's so important who you marry, because we had no clue that when we said in sickness and in health, for better or worse, that worse would hit, that things, and that's just one of the things that happened during our marriage, but that things will happen beyond your control.
Exactly.
And you have to make sure that you have a mate, a spouse that will stand with you, that can pray over you when you're feeling down, that they'll pray over you, they'll speak the word over you, they'll encourage you. And that's what my husband is. And I'm grateful for that. And that's what my parents are to me.
Glory to God.
Yeah.
I think that what inspires me so much about your story is what seems to be this constant unwavering concerning your confession and what you were going through and what you were experiencing. I know that there's so much that could be said about what you were going through outside of just this whole thing that, like, I need to have this baby and, this is what the Lord said. I know that there were a whole lot of other things going on in your life because you've shared bits and pieces of your story with me. Tell me, though, without if you want to go into it, it's completely up to you. But tell me what it was like for you, knowing how many things you had opposing this word that God released, because it wasn't just about the miscarriages. You had other elements, other things that were prohibiting you, that were getting in the way, that were trying to magnify themselves in your life. So talk to us about the other, I guess you could say, hindrances and hurdles that you had to deal with going through this entire process of trusting God, believing God, knowing that God would fulfill his word, but, looking at what was in front of you and trying not to be moved by what you see.
In terms of my health? Physical health?
Yes.
Okay. So last year, 2 months after I gave birth to Nathan, I became very ill and did not know what was going on. So I was going from doctor to doctor and they gave me a certain diagnosis and I was on 10 medications at one point. But I grew more ill and more ill.
Right.
And so at this point, I'm like, listen, I just got the promise that God gave me.
Exactly.
And now I'm to a place where I'm too weak to even fully take care of him. Like, I can't take care of him alone. And I can remember my husband would always declare my healing. My parents, I would declare my healing.
Yeah.
We didn't know what was going on. It got to the point where my doctor was like, listen, we've tried different things.
Right.
And this is months later. And he's like, you're not improving. So we need to hospitalize you. And, this is the pandemic. Who got $20,000, $30,000 ready to just go ahead and put out there for a treatment that you don't even know will work. Because I was like, so how sure are you that this treatment will work? Since I tried all these
exactly.
We don't know. I can't guarantee. So you want me to take a gamble with this, and I don't do gambling. so what happened was, Marisha, my brother called, and he's in the States, and he called and he said, Tommy, I feel like they're playing a bit of a guessing game with you. They're not sure what's going on with you. I feel like you need to come over to the States and get checked up over here. I went over there, and right away, the first doctor that I met said, oh, they diagnosed you wrong. For sure, it's not that. I believe it's something more systemic. What do you mean systemic? Something like an autoimmune disorder or something like that. So this is the first time I'm hearing this. And long story short, they did a bunch of different tests on me. Meanwhile, Marisha, I had blisters on internal organs. I couldn't eat, I couldn't swallow. It was too painful. My eyes were painful, like sitting here in the studio with light on. I wouldn't be able to do that. I'd have to wear shades. It was just too painful. They were bloodshot red. I had blisters developing on my skin, on the outside as well. It was the most pain that I'd ever experienced in my entire life. Sores were all inside my mouth. And I'm like, what is going on here?
Right.
And so they diagnosed me with a very rare autoimmune disease.
Okay.
Only 1 in a million people have it. So I'm sitting there like, okay, God, I know I'm healed. They're telling me there's no cure for this. But I believe and I know that I'm healed, that healing is the children's bread. By your stripes, I was made healed.
Right.
And I went through a lot of physical pain.
Okay.
A whole lot of physical pain, but I just knew that God would bring me out. There was one point, Marisha, that I literally heard, I'm going to kill you. Like I never really heard the devil really like direct speak to me, but he direct said, I'm going to kill you. You're going to die. And at that point, because I was coughing up blood constantly. I couldn't sleep at night.
My goodness.
I had to sit up. And so in the middle of the night, I'm just coughing up blood all night, just constant pain. And so I knew I was deteriorating, but I know that God is a God that works miracles.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what the doctor forecasts for you.
Yes.
That if you really believe that God is the healer and you trust them above man, which is the doctor,
exactly,
whatever it is that you declare will happen.
Yes.
And so long story short, I was over there for months just getting treatments. And one treatment I had, they told me, well, this treatment, it has a lot of risk. So we're going to have you go into the hospital, and for 8 hours, you're going to have to be on an IV. This is a treatment
goodness, Tamalia,
that they use for cancer. And they said, there's a possibility, there's a whole long list of side effects. There's a possibility that you could die from this treatment.
Wow.
There's a possibility that you can have I think it was being paralyzed or something, something with the brain that would go wrong.
Right.
Well, I told my family, close friends, and we began to pray. We said, because this is the treatment, they're telling me that I have to do this treatment in order to feel better.
Right.
And so we went in with faith, doing the treatment. And the nurse kept coming in to look at me. She was like, wait, like, you don't have any bad feeling?
Oh my gosh.
She's like, you're just talking and laughing up a storm. And she's like, you don't have, nothing's wrong. Like,
wow.
She said, because I've never had a patient that never had a negative reaction to this drug. She said it's never happened.
Wow.
And so I told her, I said, that's because I have a lot of people praying for me.
My goodness.
Prayer changes things, Marisha.
Yes.
And it may look like the enemy is winning in your situation. It may look like you're defeated. You could say, well, God, why you allow me to go through this? I'm trusting you. I'm serving you. I'm tithing. I'm giving. I'm sowing seeds.
Yes.
I'm being faithful. I may not be perfect, but I'm faithful.
Yes.
And you're like, well, God, why is it happening to me? But the Bible says, endure hardship like a good soldier. So all that means is that you're a good soldier. God trusts you. Now you just got to go through the process. But this light affliction can't compare to the glory that's coming. And so out of that sickness, when I recently publicly declared it and testified about it because people didn't know what was going on with me. But when I testified, I got people inboxing me like, you don't know how your story encouraged me. It really blessed me. It built my faith. And so what we go through is not about us. It's to give glory to God. It's to be a testimony that the same God that we declare is the healer, the waymaker, and all this good stuff, your provider. Do you really trust him in the midst of the storm? Can you really trust God that God will do whatever he told you he would do?
And I think that's so important as we have this conversation, and that's why I wanted you to share that portion, really, because I wanted you to share your faith journey, even the one that you're on now.
Yes.
Because you are in another faith journey.
Yes.
And then I couldn't have set this up the way that God has, but I've never heard you talk about the prophetic word that you received concerning your children. You only have one child, so you can't die.
No,
you can't die because God showed you your children.
Exactly.
So there has to be more children, so you can't die.
Exactly.
And it's so, oh my gosh, it is so difficult sometimes for us as believers to not be moved by what we see, not be moved by what we see. I can only imagine what this entire journey has been like for you. If I were in your shoes, Tamalia, this is just me, my personal observation, being the person that you are and listening and hearing the portions of your journey that you shared about how you have been like, you grew up in church. This is not a situation where like you was out, frolicking in the world and then God snatched you out of the world and brought you into the house, into the fold, and then you had this dramatic story where you got saved. No, like you've been living your life as a believer for the majority, like all of your life, from you had sense and could comprehend. You grew up in church. Your parents are pastors. Your parents feed the nation, I feel like.
Yeah, they do. Bishop Walter Hanschel and Elder Minley Hanschel. My parents are amazing. I feel so blessed to have them.
Your parents manage one of, I think it's like the biggest like outreach program in this country. So how is it that your family is involved with such ministry? You live right. You do your best to live right. I mean, you're not perfect, but you do your best to live right. And then you get married and it's like, well, first of all, you shared with me your journey to getting married. And that was just, to me, that's incredible. Y'all got to go look for that show. Go back, look at the Girl Talk shows and, go back and listen to her story. But I think what blows my mind is the confidence that I see in you. And it's godly confidence. I can tell. I can tell that it's godly confidence. And for so many of us as women, we allow our circumstances to tell us who to be and how to approach the situations of life. And I think that especially when it comes to what we've been talking about today, when it comes to our bodies and the fact that we know that we're supposed to have the ability to reproduce. We know that this is something that we've been created to do. We have the organs, we have the genes, we have the makeup, we have everything that we know we're supposed to have physically in order for this to happen. And then we end up in these situations where like, I believe some of us even question whether or not we're actually worthy of it.
And I've heard people say that people who they've had abortions in the past.
Exactly.
And then when they want to have children, they end up having miscarriages. What I would say to that person, maybe that's you who are listening, is don't confuse process with punishment.
That's so good.
And because a lot of times we think, well, God is punishing me, that's why I'm going through this. No, baby, it's just a process.
Oh my gosh.
And that it doesn't matter if you're the goody two shoe or you're not.
Say this.
We all have to go through that process. And the process, what does it do? It matures us. It builds our faith. And that's why when I look over my life, even what I'm dealing with right now, I'm like, okay, so these tests that I went through before are a joke compared to what I'm dealing with right now. But what it did was each time I went through, it built my faith. Every time I became more confident in God. I'm like, God, you did it last time.
Yes.
And I thought I didn't have a way out. You made a way. When I didn't know where the money was coming from for so and so, you made a way.
Yes.
So I know that you're reliable. I know that I could count on you.
I think it's so important for us to know that there is absolutely nothing that we can do to hinder the plan and the purpose of God for our lives.
Yes.
I say that so confidently because even in my own life, even as I'm still on this single journey. I'm still on the single journey. God is teaching me so many things about myself, showing me. I shared with a girlfriend of mine just recently how he put me in a position where I had to take care of someone that I loved, and he showed me that I was too selfish to be married. Because a lot of us, we are walking around like, woe is me, like, what's wrong with me? Like, why am I so single? And literally, he showed me, because you're selfish.
Wow. That's deep.
Because you don't know how to sacrifice for somebody else. Can you get up in the morning and not do anything for you?
Wow, that's deep. That's deep.
That's what he showed me.
Yeah.
Like, he took me through a process, opened my eyes to the reality of who I was. He's like, yeah, no, you weren't ready. You weren't ready, because when you wake up in the morning, it's all about you.
Listen, and that's what I think about when I think about, I had this plan, Marisha, that I would get married when I was 25.
Right.
That was the number.
Yeah. I mean, that's everybody's number.
And when I look back, I'm like, for sure I was going to get a divorce.
The grace of God.
The people would have been like, look at a bishop daughter, because I might have been fighting somewhere.
Yes.
Carrying on, because I wasn't ready for that at that time. But I don't want to make it seem like people are single just because they're not ready. Sometimes you're ready, but sometimes maybe the spouse is not ready.
Exactly.
Or maybe it's just not the right time for it.
Exactly.
And what I learned, even with what we're talking about with fertility and everything happens at the right time.
Yes.
And God has this wonderful calendar. And he has your name on it. And there's a date assigned to your name.
Exactly.
And you complaining about it is not going to make that date move up. You worrying about it is not going to make that date move up. Just know that you're on his calendar. And so that should make us feel special enough, because I only put important stuff in my calendar.
Exactly.
And I put girl talk with Marisha on my calendar. That's important to me.
Yes.
God has your name.
That's so good.
The calendar.
That's so good.
And whatever it is that you're waiting on, you're believing on, he has a set time for it. It shall come to pass. How do I know that? Because he's not a man that he could lie. He's not like Pookie and him.
I know, right?
He ain't playing games.
Exactly.
He ain't talking foolishness. He is talking straight up truth.
Exactly.
And the truth you can rely on.
Hearing you say that reminds me of one of my daily declarations. I can't even remember where I got it from. But I have these declarations, these alarms that go off in my phone all throughout the day. And I open up my mouth and I make these declarations out loud. And one of the declarations that I have in my phone to remind me is that I'm a fixture in God's mind.
That's good.
And I say that every day because there was a season of my life, and I know that so many women, especially when it comes to having difficulty having children, you go through seasons in your life where you feel like, God, have you forgotten me? Like, do you remember, like, I talked to you about this situation before, and I just feel like you didn't hear me, or like you didn't even acknowledge that I was talking, or like I feel like you heard me, but maybe you forgot. Maybe you think that I've changed my mind concerning this desire. Like maybe you think, God, I don't want this anymore, or whatever it is our mind can conceive. Every day I say I'm a fixture in God's mind. It's a reminder for me that, like, I'm there. Like, God is thinking about me.
Absolutely.
Every day I wake up, I have to say to myself, yeah, I'm a fixture in God's mind. I don't move. I don't move. He's always thinking of me.
That's good.
He's always concerned about what concerns me. Yes. In fact, he promises to perfect all things concerning me in his word. He says he is my strength and power, and he makes my way perfect. So I know that it doesn't matter what I may see with my physical eyes. I'm stuck on God's mind.
Yes.
I can't move.
That's good.
I can't move. Yes. So that means that every single thing that I experience, everything that I go through, God has already had the thought process before that thing came to me.
My God.
And he's already established what the end of this thing is for me before I even get to the beginning of it. And so I know if I'm in this moment, If I'm in this moment, he's considered every one of my mistakes. He's considered every one of my inconsistencies. He's considered my sin. He's considered my stubbornness, my ignorance. He has made space for the cliche that I hate that we use in church, but it's true. He's made space for all things to work together for my good.
Yes.
Because I'm stuck in his mind.
And that cliche you say, listen, that's what kept me, and that's what's continuing to keep me even now.
Wow.
That Romans 8:28. In fact, me and my mom, we'll just say 8:28. 8:28. That's just our code.
Yes,
for all things work together for
yes.
good to those that love the Lord and are the called according to his purpose. It may not feel good. It may not look
good.
It
never feels good if we tell the truth.
Yeah, it don't feel good. It does not feel good. It hurts. It's disappointing. And you may have to go through some betrayals. Some people that are close to you may have to betray you, turn their back on you, lie on you. It's all a part of the process. But guess what? It's gonna work for good.
I wanna find a passage of scripture, and I hate to be the passage of scripture person, but I'm sorry. I live by the word of God.
Don't be sorry for that.
And so I want to find this passage of scripture, but I want us to make a transition here as we get ready to close this show. I didn't want us to just have you share your story and tell us about your victory and what you experienced without saying to the women who are out there listening, who are struggling with the same issue. They're struggling with the fact that your doctor may have said to you, okay, look, by what we could see, you can't have no children. Or who are afraid to go to the doctor because they've had so many miscarriages, or they've already seen some signs, some issues, or perhaps, you've tried it, or perhaps like Tamalia said, you may have had an abortion before. And so like, you're blaming your inability to conceive on that. I remember reading the story of Hannah, and I'm trying to find the portion where her husband tells her that it is God who opens up the womb. I'm trying to remember that. That portion.
That's good. Hannah, I read that a lot to encourage me.
I can't find the verse in it. I know the story is in 1 Samuel chapter 1 and in chapter 2, but I just remember encountering that portion of the story where I think her husband's name is Elkanah. I think that's what his name is. Yeah. And he says to Hannah, his wife, because she's mourning, like she's carrying on like a fool. She cutting the fool. Like she was like, I can't have a child, and I have a problem. I've been serving God faithfully. Like me and my husband and I, we have everything because they weren't poor. We need to make sure that that's clear. We need to make sure that that's understood. Hannah and Elkanah could have had everything that they wanted. They were wealthy people. The one thing that they could not have was this child. And so Hannah cut the fool on God, was like freaking herself right out. And her husband was like, am I not enough? He asks her, am I not enough? She didn't even respond. She didn't respond. And then he says to her, boo, it's God who opens up and shuts the womb.
Right.
It's God.
Yes.
It's God who does that. And I know that you have what you want to leave with the women today, but for me, that is what I want to leave with us today. That listen, I don't care if you don't have a uterus. I don't care if you've had a hysterectomy. It is God who opens up and shuts up the womb. God could decide tomorrow, after you've had your hysterectomy, to supernaturally insert a new uterus on the inside of you and cause you to have birth if he wills it to be so.
I've seen testimonies of that.
So my encouragement I don't care. Listen to me. I don't care. I do not care. And I know it sounds harsh, but I don't care what your situation is. I don't care what the doctor has said. I don't care what you've experienced. I don't care how many abortions you have had. It does not matter how many miscarriages you have had. It is God who opens up and shuts the womb. He is the one that causes children to come into the earth. It's not any drug you can take. It's not any posture, or I guess you could say approach, because we like to try all kind of things, and I've heard some people trying some weird things, stones and smoke and all kind of foolishness, all kind of,
right.
out there, like really, really out there things, because the environment has to be conducive, and these little fertility dolls and fertility gods and fertility stones and all this mess that we're going through. Listen, I'm not saying that you shouldn't see a doctor concerning your fertility. Let's make sure we clear this up. Yeah. That's not what I'm saying. Yeah. What I'm saying is, whatever it is that you do in this process, in this journey that God is taking you through, remember this. It is God and God alone who opens up and shuts the womb. Mm-hmm. So it does not matter what medication the doctor gives you. God is the one who has to say yes. Mm-hmm. He has to be like, okay, I'm going to allow this medication to work on your body. Yeah. He has to be the one that says, okay, yes, absolutely. This is the time. And now you're going to be impregnated, and you are going to go to full term with this pregnancy. This child is going to come out whole. This child is going to come out healthy. You're going to come out of this pregnancy whole and healthy. He is the one that decides that. It's him. It's on him. So why not? Why not trust him? Why not trust him? I can say that from my perspective, because I just want to be an encouragement to you. I know Tamalia can say it from a place of experience. Mm-hmm. It is God who opens up and shuts the womb. I'll give you the final. Well, before you give your final words, let's just make sure that we get some, because we had just a few comments in here. I
want to shout out Pastor Monica. Oh my goodness, PM.
She's tuned in. Yeah, I love her. Oh my gosh. Hey PM. We so love amazing. You. You're our fave too. Absolutely our fave. We had quite a few comments come in. Let me see. Some people were messaging me individually, so I want to get those comments in. This is a private message that came in, and it says, I'm listening in. Tell that sister so true. In sickness and in health, until death do us part. It is real. Yes. And I'll just tell you that this is someone who's near and dear to me, who just recently lost her husband.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. And so loss. she knows what it's like. And he wasn't well before he passed as well. So she knows what that journey is like. Yeah. Candira Gilbert says, I'm so happy and thankful for this conversation. The bravery and the encouragement is timely and refreshing.
Hi, Candy.
Michelle Johnson Monroe says, this is powerful. Spoke what she wanted to see, healing. And yes, Pastor Monica, we love you. Yes. We love you. We love much. You. We appreciate you. You've pushed both of us. Yeah. You've pushed both of us.
In fact, I was just talking to my cousin about her yesterday, because my cousin's been watching her on live. She's like, oh my goodness, I had to call you just to tell you I love PM. She's helping to build my faith so much.
She is amazing.
God bless her.
And of course, your mom. Yes, Elder Hanchel, woman of God, we honor you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Well, I know your baby girl is here, so I know you had to tune in.
And I tell you, my mom has exemplified to me what faith is. Wow. Just by her walk. And when you talk about a praying woman, I don't know anyone who could pray like my mom. Like, she is I joke when I say, listen, warn me before you go off in tongues, please.
I know, right? Conversation. Right. Hey, Q. Oh my gosh, Queesh, what you saying?
Kia.
She's tuned in. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. And for all of you who tuned in, thanks so much. Your final words to Maria.
I want to leave this word with everyone, no matter your situation. Mm-hmm. Luke 1, verse 37. Mm-hmm. And with God, nothing shall be impossible. And I held on to that word whilst I was waiting to have my children. I held on. I believed it. I held on to it when the doctor told me it was impossible, because I'm like, okay, God, this gives you the opportunity to show up, because you said in your word, nothing shall be impossible. So I want to encourage the women and men that are listening, because men hurt from this too.
Yes, exactly.
I want to encourage you not to give up hope, to trust your God, to know that if he promised something to you, he will deliver it.
Yes.
And that, yes, you may have to cry sometime. You may have to be in pain sometime, but weeping may endure for a night.
I love it.
But joy comes in the morning. And for some of you, morning is closer than you thought. I didn't know I was going to have a baby last year. I didn't know that would happen right during the time of me releasing a book and being busy with all types of stuff. But God knows you. He loves you. Like you said, you are the apple of his eye. And when I think about me being a mother, how I love my son, Nathan, I would do anything for him. And I am flawed. I'm an imperfect human being. Yes. So imagine how much more your heavenly Father loves you and wants to give you. He's not trying to withhold this from you. But I realized that everything has a timing. And I also realized the devil tries to fight. My mom says the devil tries to fight what God wants to use.
Yes, yes.
And so you have to go to war in prayer over your womb, over yourself, over your children. Pray like they're already here, but pray to make it happen.
Oh my God.
And watch God work. He is a miracle working God.
He has not changed.
He has not changed. If he did it for Sarah, and she was what? 90 years old.
Okay.
Then.
He did it for Hannah.
Okay, he did it. So he'll do it.
And he did it for you.
And he did it for me. And I'm no better than anyone that's listening.
My goodness.
God doesn't love me more than he loves you. So he will do it for you. He will do it for you.
Oh my gosh, this conversation was just such a blessing to me. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Tamalia Gibson. Listen, let them know how they can find you, how they can reach you. For those of you who are tuning in on Facebook Live, you can see that we have her Instagram handle there, Serena Secrets. You definitely need to check out her books. They're incredible. But let them know how they can reach you, how they can get in touch with you.
Sure.
All that good stuff.
So my website is drtamaliagibson.com. And I would love for you to connect with me on Facebook at Serena's Secrets and also on Instagram at Serena's Secrets. So I would really love to hear from you guys what you thought about today. And I'm praying for you. And I know that it will all work out for your good.
Thank you so much, Tamalia. This was so refreshing. It's always a blessing when you come in studio. I so appreciate you.
Love you.
Love you more. Listen, y'all, I do apologize. We've had a lot of technical difficulties today. I'm going to try some way, somehow to show y'all our fit of the week by our sponsor, the Catwalk Boutique. The show is sponsored by the Catwalk Boutique. My girl, Gia, she is such a blessing to my life. So this dress, I'm going to try to show y'all this dress. I'm going to have to be ghetto and move the camera. Y'all, I'm so sorry. So this is our fit of the week. And this is a lovely, lovely, lovely pastel Easter dress. It's beautiful.
Nice.
It's a beautiful dress. And that necklace is the bomb. I think with the lighting, can you see it? Oh, man. I'm so sorry, y'all. My other camera would not come on today. But listen, this dress is in size small to 4X, y'all. So this for everybody. This for everybody. This for the teeny weeny and this for me, too. This is for me. So you can get this at the Catwalk Boutique. I just want to put up the flyer again so you can see where they're located. It's not showing me the bottom. What's happening here? You can check out the Catwalk Boutique. The website is coming soon, so you definitely want to stay tuned for that. You'll be able to shop online. They are located in the Helron Plaza on Robinson Road. We're sponsored by the Catwalk Boutique. We do have a winner for our giveaway today. We had a text message come through. Our winner for today is Janae Farrington Lewis. She won the 4-step system by Design Essentials, the natural hair 4-step system. Protective Styles is called, Moroccan oil 4-step system. And sponsored by Lowe's. So thank you so much, Lowe's, for the sponsorship. Ladies, I have another giveaway next week, courtesy of Lowe's. They just keep it coming. And we're just so excited. So we want to say thank you to our sponsors. Definitely thank you to the management of Glory 93.9 FM for giving us our space here. And that's our show today. Listen, stay tuned next week. You do not want to miss next week. Next week, we're going even deeper. Next week, we're going to be having a conversation on coping with grief and loss. And I'm so happy to have another group of ladies who are near and dear to my heart, Mrs. Shanicia Swan and my girl Letitia Taylor, and they're going to be sharing their stories of grief and loss. Listen, we say it all the time. Get you some good girlfriends. You need them. You need a support system. You need some good girlfriends who could be there for you, who can support you, who can help push you into purpose, who can be the shoulder for you to lean on. You need them. They are necessary for life. So we say it all the time. Get you some good girlfriends. Listen, y'all. We got to go. Our time has definitely come and gone. Thank you so much for tuning into Girl Talk, y'all. Be safe out there. Until next week.
Find a tribe.